Robseco Future Farm. Today's innovations, tomorrow's solutions.
Hello and welcome back to the Robseco Future Farm. I'm here today with Aaron Kelley from NewLeaf Symbiotics. Welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, happy to be back with you, Jim.
So, Aaron, we've done a couple of episodes together already,
Yep.
but we've set up in this last year a number of different trials, as well as the Pink Performance Tour that you guys went on to take a look at some of these results and some of the things that you see in the field.
Yep.
And looking forward at the results now that we have, and just want to talk through some of these new products and the products that we've been looking at.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Aaron, if you don't mind, tell us just a little bit about NewLeaf Symbiotics to help remind our audience. Absolutely. And the types of products that we incorporate into the Streamline Ag portfolio.
Yeah, so NewLeaf Symbiotics, we're a 12-year-old ag biologicals company based out of St. Louis. We've had a fantastic partnership with Robseco and Streamline Ag for the last 3 years or so. We produce and sell live bacteria that help plants to be more healthy, to resist certain insects and diseases. I think we're going to talk about all that today.
Absolutely. Yeah, so these last couple of years, we've run a number of trials with some of the biologicals that you guys have developed. And we've looked at everything from grain yields to silage to even some crops that Robseco's not participating in today, but there have been great results across all of those. But where I want to start out right now is looking at silage. Okay. I mean, we've looked at a couple of incorporating some of the biologicals into some planter box solutions, and taking a look at what the results would be with bioinsecticide on silage and the biostimulants impact on that as well. So could you tell us, first of all, what should we expect the plant to do in response to the presence of these microbes?
Yeah. These are unique microbes, right? They're all pink. You'll see pink. You can see it in our NewLeaf branding, right? So that's a natural sunscreen that they've developed because these microorganisms colonize the plant for the season. So that's certainly one of the things that's very unique about them. They're there for the season long, giving some of those benefits. So the biostimulants are really helping that plant get out of the ground a little earlier and more consistently. I think that's something your teams have measured very consistently. If I remember those numbers, it's about 17% increase in day 1, day 2 emergence on corn. That's a big deal because anything that's emerging late ends up getting stunted or shaded out, right? So that's a part of the benefit there. We'll talk a bit more about the biocontrols, I think, but a bioinsecticide that's very helpful in silage because it's quite typical for silage to be corn on corn year over year.
Absolutely. Yep. And we've looked at the various methods of efficacy, or how well does the bioinsecticide work in corn on corn, in the various numbers of modes of action for corn rootworm control beyond that. And what we see is that the bioinsecticide has huge benefits on grain yields in the absence of any traits, and even when you're working with 2 modes of action. I mean, if we're thinking about the overall numbers, we see for above ground only traits, we see almost a 9.5 bushel advantage. We see about 7 bushel advantage when we're working with 2 modes of action for corn rootworm in moderate to heavy environments for corn rootworm pressure. And then it's about even when we're looking at 3 modes of action for corn rootworm traits. And that translates really, really well into what we see on the silage end too, because like you said, most silage acres tend to be corn on corn. Yeah. And there's a lot of benefit to not just the dairyman in terms of how much milk can be produced per acre, but also to the contract grower. So we saw, due to in part better emergence, better root regrowth, and less feeding overall, we saw increased overall tonnage with the addition of the bioinsecticide. So we saw about a 3.5 ton per acre, and this is wet tons, per acre increase in tonnage, and that's just huge for the dairy. That translates to about 1.1 dry matter tons per acre. And if you're doing the math on that in your head right now, that turns into about $110 an acre in tonnage for the contract grower. And the tons per acre is great for the dairyman, but what's really more interesting is that because we have a healthier, more uniform plant in the field, we also saw improvements in starch and a reduction in undigestible fiber. And so that turned into an increase in the overall amount of milk per ton, turning into about $700 per acre in value for the dairyman. And I don't know how that compared to your expectations.
Well, look, the first thing I'll say is we really have been looking at this more from a plant productivity, one of the things I love is that you guys have taken that through to feed quality and what the actual dairies can. I mean, that we were blown away, right? And you guys have now measured that. That's an average over 3 years, right?
Absolutely.
That's not a small trial.
Yeah, we have a ton of data points. We're well over 100 data points, 3 years of consistently good data.
Yeah.
It's been just fantastic. And we have now customers that are in their second and third year, coming into their third year, and using this on farm, and we have nothing but happy customers right now. And it doesn't just go to dairies. These products also work really well for the grain farmer as well. We have the biostimulants, and then we also have the bioinsecticide, and we see benefits from both. So biostimulant alone with our planter box solution, we see about a 6.9 bushel advantage. You add on top of that the bioinsecticide, and grain yields jump up to almost 12 and a half bushels per acre. And so the bioinsecticide is adding almost 5.5 bushels an acre by itself, but together, that's a really nice increase in yields.
Yeah, if I could, I want to add a couple of points on the bioinsecticide now. So we've talked about in past episodes, but I'm going to reiterate it for folks. These are working through an induced systemic resistance. What does that mean? It's priming the plant's immune system, right? We've actually now identified one of those modes of action as a volatile compound called methylanthranilate. So the plant is actually able to produce that, and that causes this repellency or lack of ability for the rootworm to feed. And not only rootworm, right? We launched this in rootworm, but we now are expanding this label. We've got multiple other pests on the label this year, as well as crops. So we're seeing stink bugs in soybeans. That's the #1 insect pest in soybeans. Root knot nematode, we're seeing benefits, fall armyworm, wireworm. So now I think there's reasons, and I think together through our partnership, we're going to start delivering that value not just to the corn farmer, but to many different crops.
Oh, that's excellent. And so this new expansion of the label is actually for the 2026
Correct.
season, right?
Yep, all approved through the EPA, so we're ready to go on that. Yep.
Oh, that's outstanding. That'll be a lot of fun. And what we see, you guys have developed a lot more products than just the biostimulant and biofungicide. But we look a lot at corn and soybeans. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the results that you've seen on some of the other crops with the bioinsecticide first of all?
Yeah, so we talked about the stink bug on soybean. That's a big one. Root knot nematode, we're seeing benefits on that in corn, in cotton, in soybeans. So we're starting to see that, and we're testing it even on more crops. So again, we're definitely seeing these things across the board. I think the next piece we're looking at, because we always want to understand the science behind this, right? NewLeaf is very science-backed and data-driven. Is it this same volatile? Because now you're talking about above ground pests too, right? So a very different thing. Thrips is another one we've seen some benefits on cotton. What is that mode of action that's helping that plant to defend itself against some of these pests?
Right, because I would have thought that to be a big surprise to see.
It was a bit of a surprise. I agree with you. Yeah.
And but the data holds itself, and so you can't lie to the data. But finding out the mode of action is really interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. And that just helps as you try to explain the technology to the grower and the benefits. So
now, can you tell me a little bit about this biofungicide that you guys have developed?
Yeah. So this is a new EPA registered biofungicide that we're launching in 2026. So we had over 100 commercial trials this year across different crops, from corn to soybean to cotton. We did one on cotton together. I think we'll talk about that. But if we talk about some of the other things we're seeing very, very good results. I think the part that's amazing to us is this season-long protection. So even using this and going on at planting, when you prime that plant's immune system, we're seeing benefits on late-stage corn foliar diseases, southern rust, which was a huge one this year. We're seeing benefits to that and decreased incidence of that. Tar spot, white mold in soybeans. Some of those things that show up late, we're still seeing that benefit all season long.
Oh, that's absolutely great. Can you tell us a little bit about how that mode of action may work?
So this is one that we're still a little earlier in that mode of action. We definitely see the signals within the plant for, again, this ISR, induced systemic resistance. So there are certain molecules and pathways, jasmonic acid and other things that trigger that. The next part we've got to figure out is, okay, what genes in the plant, and we're actively doing that now, what defense genes get activated up, and how does that plant help to defend itself? So we're looking at that now. Hopefully in the next year or two, we'll be bringing that story out.
Oh, for sure. And ISR is one of those pathways that you definitely want to be activating in the plant in order to help that late season plant health. and the ability of the plant to fight some of these diseases.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, you guys had some really nice results that came through in some conventional corn, or actually it might have been even without fungicide or hard chemistries. Tell me a little bit about those results.
Yeah, so one of the trials that was really, really exciting was Kevin Kalb. So he's a farmer in southwest Indiana. He farms river bottoms, but he's a competitive national corn grower competition winner. And he, year over year, is producing, targeting 400 plus bushel an acre of corn. Wow. But those river bottoms, he's got fungal problems every year. Tar spot is probably more typical. He was hit really hard by southern rust this year. So he set up with our biofungicide 2x replacement, one at planting and one foliarly, comparing that to his normal process of 2 chemical fungicides. That process actually, not only did it beat his chemical fungicide by about 6 bushel, it came in at 425, a really big number. That was enough for him to win nationally with that chemistry. And so he has become a true believer. He wants it on all his acres this year. And we're trying to work and get that story out so that we can help other growers realize those benefits.
Oh, that's fantastic. Those are huge yields to work with. Yeah. And now what are you seeing in some of the other crops? I think you mentioned that you've done some other things with biofungicide and seen great results.
Yeah, so we're looking at it in soybean as well, seeing very, very strong results, seeing benefits against SDS, sudden death, white mold, another big one through sclerotinia. So not only again, these are going on at planting, so it's showing those benefits against the soil-borne pathogens that are early, but it's giving that season-long protection, which is what's impressive to us. So even some of these diseases that could come up 2, 3, 4 months later, priming that plant's immune system is still giving you a level of protection late in the season.
Yeah, now this may be a little bit of a surprise question, but it goes through my head. As you're working with the biofungicide, is this microbe present throughout the entire course of the year, as opposed to a hard chemistry that you apply it and then it goes away as it gets degraded?
It's a very good point and distinction. Because these microbes are colonizing that plant for the season long, you're seeing that benefit all season long. And I think that is something that, as you pointed out, most chemistries have got a certain half-life, whether it's in the soil or on the plant or within the plant. And you tell me, I would think the best on that is maybe 60 days or so, and I think it's a stretch to have it that long.
I mean, a lot of times you hear, the 21, 28, or 35 days of activity, and so needing to reapply in that amount of time, logistically, and we saw this spring across a lot of the Corn Belt, but logistically, you just can't get in the field that often or at the right timing, and so that season-long colonization is a really big deal.
Yes, it is. It is.
So, what's next? I mean, there's a lot going on. What's next for?
Where are we going in the future? I think we're actively working. We've submitted now to the EPA what would be our second generation of biostimulants. These were actually registering with the EPA as PGRs, plant growth regulators. So that allows us to really capture more of the value, be able to talk about some of the things that these microbes can do and deliver, again, more value. It also will just allow some simplification in how we go to market, because now if you've got that registered, you can pre-blend it with some of the biocontrol products and stuff that today we've got to do as a co-pack that's not always as convenient for the grower.
Absolutely. I mean, anything we can do to provide additional convenience and efficacy. I mean, if you're getting improved results with the next generation, that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have I missed anything that we wanted to go through?
What I think we wanted to hit on was the cotton trial we had down in Texas. So in Beasley, Texas, we did a trial with Streamline Ag and the 601. So they did both, I think the 601 alone and the 601 plus the biostimulant.
And the 601, real quick, is the biofungicide.
Yeah,
right?
biofungicide. And so they realized some pretty significant benefits. So Rhizoctonia is a big soil-borne pest for them. In fact, my understanding is they typically overplant, expecting to lose certain amounts of that population, which they didn't lose as much. That probably helped them some with the yield. I'm trying to remember the number now. I think it was plus just under 100 pounds of lint with the combination of the biostimulant plus the biofungicide.
Yeah, I believe it came out to be about a 7.5% improvement in total lint. Yeah.
So I think they're very, very excited. I think they're we're going to set up to go down and visit them again this coming year. I think we're going to look at also getting the bioinsecticide out as well with that biofungicide this year, see if we can add to that benefit.
Oh, that's going to be a lot of fun to see this upcoming year. So yeah, setting up trials for this upcoming year. We're always looking for new ways to test, new things to test, and looking forward to that collaboration.
Yeah, it's one of the things we really enjoy in this partnership, because I think you guys do some of the most rigorous testing programs, really can see data, and you can see where the benefits are. And if there isn't a benefit, then let's redirect, right? Let's go back to the stuff that's working. The silage data was really, I was blown away by that 3 years in a row. So.
We were too. We've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So, well, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
I always appreciate the discussions. Thanks, Jim.
All right, thank you.